No, I spent my Christmas in the ER.
You personally, or?
Yeah, me personally.
Did you verify, did you do both of them?
I had
Okay.
my doctor just
You're
put
good,
me on a
okay.
weight loss drug. And I got all bound up inside. I got infected.
Good evening, afternoon. Today is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2025. It's 5:30 for a city council meeting at 1103 West Main Street. Call to order, please.
Council President Kaiser.
Here.
Councilmember Christiansen.
Here.
Councilmember Murray.
Here.
Councilmember O'Meara.
Here.
We all stand, please, for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Monica, are you going to be leading us in prayer? Thank you.
Ma'am. All right, Heavenly Father, we are just so thankful to be here tonight. We ask that you meet us where we are, help us to make really good decisions. Bless each and every one of us as we walk through this year. Help us to be blessed with health and love and a sense of camaraderie. We lift the city up to you tonight, and all in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Hey, action items, please.
All right. Mike, are you talking before the meeting or at the end?
At the end.
Okay. Then we won't have,
I'm sorry, I skipped right through that.
it's okay. I saw him signing up.
Has anybody else signed up to speak?
Did you sign up to speak?
At the end.
Okay.
I didn't know which was more important.
That's fine.
You could do both.
Did we already approve the agenda?
Not yet.
I don't know, Rob, we got a big crowd tonight.
I know it. That's why I was wondering. Monica, is Mike wanting to speak now?
No, sorry, I need clarification.
It's still
Yeah.
not clear, but right, it's fine.
Oh, yeah, I missed that. All right, council, before us, we have an agenda posted December 30th at 3 p.m. Any questions? All right, hearing none, I move we approve the agenda posted December 30th at 3 p.m.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Kind of skipped ahead already. Understand we have no public comment. All right, action item 1 is our consent agenda. Minutes for City Council December 18th, and ratifying payroll for December 27th. Questions, council? All right, then I move we approve consent agenda items A and B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2, regarding Cemetery Road and SH 44 intersection signal project, Mr. Van Gilder, consider authorizing the mayor to ratify the change order executed by Knife River Corporation, Mountain West of the Cemetery Road and SH 44 intersection signalization project in an amount not to exceed $21,971.03 to install the concrete curb ramps, thermoplastic markings associated with a crosswalk on 9th Street, adjacent to Middleton Heights Elementary School.
Thank you, Mayor. Jason Van Gilder, your Public Works Director. I had spoke on this item and the following item in the meeting previously, that was 2 meetings ago. I was absent the last meeting. Regarding this was a sidewalk, crosswalk that had been requested by the school district. The school district had offered to pay for it. We had not yet received confirmation that the school district would pay for it at the time, but their board did elect to expend the funds for this. So it largely becomes a pass-through from us to the contractor working out there to install the concrete and the curb ramps and the striping. So that is what's in front of you. Having gotten the head nod last time that we were okay with passing this through, we went ahead and executed the contract so that the contractor could move forward with it. We are asking for council to ratify that decision tonight in both this and in the following motion. So the combined items of last is what was the amount before you last time. They're broken out just a little differently into 2 different separate items since they're going to be different purchase orders to different contractors. Be glad to stand for any questions.
So Jason, is this one north on 9th, kind of behind?
Correct.
on Ninth itself, kind of in a
On Ninth.
strange area.
Just a little west of the new road we put in, about
Yeah.
25, 50
Where their
feet west.
gateway's up.
Where the gateway's at.
Okay. That makes sense. Council questions for Jason? All right. I move we authorize the mayor to ratify the change order executed with Knife River Corporation, Mountain West, on the Cemetery Road and State Highway 44 intersection signalization project. Before I move on, Jason, they're two lumped together. Is that why it reads this way? The two projects?
Yes,
Is it-
correct.
Right,
Correct.
okay, because of the road extension, gotcha.
This
Okay.
was bid at the same time.
Got it, thank you. Project in amount not to exceed $21,971.03 to install the concrete curb ramps and thermoplastic markings associated with the crosswalk on 9th Street.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 3, regarding crosswalk signs, Mr. Van Gilder. Consider authorizing the mayor to ratify the acceptance of proposal from Southern Idaho Electric, Inc. to RRFB crosswalk signs associated with a crosswalk on 9th Street adjacent to Middleton Heights Elementary School in the amount not to exceed $18,475.
Mayor and council, this is the second part of that crosswalk section. This will be the pedestrian activated flashing lights that will be installed on each side of the crosswalk. So, I don't need more to explain than I did in the previous item, but I'd be glad to answer any questions pertaining to this one.
Pass through again.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Then I move we authorize the mayor to ratify the acceptance of the proposal from Southern Idaho Electric Incorporated to RRFB crosswalk signs associated with the crosswalk on 9th Street adjacent to Middleton Heights in an amount not to exceed $18,475.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 4, regarding replacement membrane diffusers for the WWTP, Mr. Van Gilder, consider authorizing the mayor to accept Zelm's proposal date 12/9/2024 to provide replacement membrane diffusers for the city of WWTP in the amount not to exceed $12,273.97.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is to replace the diffusers in our wastewater treatment plant in one of the basins. We're planning to stagger them over a couple of years. This is one basin. Crew has already serviced them and noticed that they're getting old and aging, and they're just a part that needs to be replaced. We did budget for this in this year's budget, and I neglected to add that to the item, but it is budgeted for in more than this amount, and would be routine maintenance for this for these diffusers. Glad to answer any questions. I think they pronounce their name Xylem, and I don't know how they get that out of that spelling. But the mayor asked me today, and I was like, right, I don't know how we get Xylem out of that, but that's who we're approving for.
Just a question, a curiosity question, is the membrane, or the budget line item just for the membranes, or is it membranes included in a budget number?
We have this under we budget in the sewer system, and we budget for maintenance in the sewer system for the wastewater treatment plant as opposed to maintenance in the collection system. That is a single budget code line item. Within that budget code item for the treatment plant, we have different areas. We have the headworks, the SBR basins, the UV system. That's not always shown in the budget. It probably gets to your level, but Wendy and I keep track of it. This was budgeted under the SBR basins, but do not believe it consists of the entirety of the SBR basin budget.
But we're not shorting something else?
No.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Councilman Murray?
Not a question, a comment. Xylem. Xylem is one of the two types of transport tissue and vascular plants, the other being phloem. Both of these are part of the vascular bundle, and now you know.
There we go. Thank you.
And it is Xylem's.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, I move that we authorize the mayor to accept Xylem's proposal dated 12/9/24 to provide replacement membrane diffusers for the city's wastewater treatment plant in an amount not to exceed $273.97.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 5, regarding legislative agenda, Mr. Van Gelder, discuss and consider approving the city's Middleton 2025 legislative agenda. The 3 items highlighted in this document include: 1, restoring road and bridge levy funding to Idaho cities; 2, ensure law enforcement post-training continues to be available and maintained for efficiency; number 3, assist cities such as Middleton with funding for improvement needed by environmental regulations.
But thank you, Mayor. I believe this came up last time, and I was unable to attend last council meeting. And as I had something to do with the drafting of all this together, I wanted a chance to speak of this again. I understand the council requested a special session or a workshop on this to flesh this out further. That has been scheduled and is scheduled for next week. But actually, I had run into our council president, our council chairman, council president, subsequent to the last meeting, and discussed it a little bit with him. And after that discussion, I thought that perhaps with a little explanation, we might be able to move forward with this tonight. What you have before you is sort of a legislative priorities list to pass on to our legislators. I don't know that Middleton has ever done this before. The city I came from in Washington had done this, and it was somewhat effective in that. And I had heard at some other places that several other cities had done similar things. The advice they always tended to give was to keep it simple and brief and really high level. This isn't your laundry list of everything you'd like them to do for you. This is the campaign flyer that crosses their desk. They kind of look at, kind of get your key ideas, and then set it aside, and maybe they'll come back to it later. So again, the suggestion is that we keep this at a pretty high level, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. Not anticipating they're going to dive deep into it, not anticipating that they will scour every item to see what they can change. But as things come up, it might be good for the legislators to have a quick high-level look at what's important to us. One of the items I'll mention in brief, and number 1 on the list, is the movement to put to the request that they make the road and bridge special levy special again. That is the provision where when the highway districts and the counties levy road and bridge funds, if they levy under the general fund, the general levy, it gets split with the cities proportionate to our own population. If they elect to levy their road and bridge tax under the special levy, it doesn't get split at all. And that's the provision where we ended up $100,000 short in last year's budget from what we were expecting. So I have actually had some conversation with legislators about that particular item. There's a draft bill that's been put together that would address that. We are taking the Association of Idaho Cities, as I've presented to them a couple times, and they'll be considering moving on that draft legislation, or taking position on the draft legislation here soon. It would be nice to have the council kind of confirm or have something to point to that says that this was a priority of the council as well. The other items, police post training. I've had some discussion with the police chief and how important that is, but how it's currently kind of in some funding limbo. Making sure that that's funded well is important to us. And then obviously we're going to be talking a lot in the next year about a very large expenditure the city has to maintain compliance with environmental regulations, and what, if there was some way for the legislator to help us. So that's how I came up with the 3 things that are there. I also highlighted some thanks for the funding that they've been able to provide for our cemetery signal and the sidewalk up there on 9th Street, and how those things have been impactful for the city, and we appreciate their assistance there. So that's the idea behind the overall agenda. I suspect there are certainly other items that could be added on there. I had circulated this with Monica's help to our other directors to get their input into anything else that they saw, and they didn't have anything directly. I'm sure the council, if you'd like to change some items, that would be fine with me. If you'd like to think about this next year and come up with some other approach, maybe see how this works, and we could do a more extensive dive into what the council would like to see the legislative actions to help our city. Because with that, I'm glad to stand for any questions.
As a person who gets a lot of documents in front of him, I like the idea of keeping it to a small number because sometimes things get lost in the noise. But that being said, I came up with something today, and I don't know if this would be the appropriate document or the appropriate time, but it seems to me we need impact fees for schools. And I don't know if this would be the right time or place to put that on a document.
I'd be okay with that as long as you include Parks and Recs and other districts.
And Prop 389, and a few of
Yes.
Yes, 389.
Well, I think this is why we need a workshop, because I would agree with you, but there's other factors. That's a whole can of worms, and there's lots of things politically that play into that. The second you go to the legislature and you say impact fees, you immediately mobilize the Snake River, developers
Building Contractors
whatever.
Association.
And they
yes.
will mobilize everything against you, and I was told that right here personally.
And I have had
Earlier
that
this
feeling many
last
times.
year.
with them
And I've
already.
been told that also, but sometimes if an idea is good for the community, the valley, the state, it just needs to be heard on a different level than just right here. And I totally understand what you're saying, but sometimes those agencies or groups will shut us down because we fear taking them on. But just putting a voice sometimes can snowball into affecting change.
Well, and again, this is why we should have a workshop, but impact fees would be great if they had been implemented 4, 5, 6 years ago. Impact fees accumulate fairly slowly, and you have to have a history to bond against them. So even if we got impact fees right now today, we wouldn't be able to build a school with those
Nope.
for multiple years until we established that history of that income. Because our schools are at limited capacity, we're not going to be approving many more plats until we get a new school. So that won't help us anywhere in the near future. What I want to do is I want to fight for actual state funding, at least some percentage for, wow, my brain just died.
Infrastructure.
No, not infrastructure, for facilities funding. God bless Texas, my brain sometimes. So we need to have more comprehensive talk. That's why we wanted to have a workshop, because there's a lot more that goes into it. And we're not talking about just sending this off to Bruce Skog and Tammy and whoever else. Hopefully sometime this month or early next month, we're going to have another one of our Treasure Valley Coalition of Council meetings, which we can then take this there and build a broad agenda of cities across the valley, and then take that down directly to the chairs of each commission to which the issue applies. Rather than everybody getting a huge list, we slice them up. We go, this is for the education committee, this is for the transportation committee, and go present it in person. I'll take time off from work to go do that. We need to start getting aggressive, because every year the legislature guts us and binds our hands, and then they turn around and tell people to blame us, even though they're the ones that put us in the position.
Yeah. Councilman Christiansen.
Yeah, so I agree with that, but what I heard you say and what resonated with me is this is a short list. This is like a flyer, to bring attention, not a laundry list. And so what are the top items, or what are the top issues? You've identified 3 here that are important in what you've analyzed. And we could go through a bunch of different ones, which makes the document longer. And I wonder if that's going to make it less likely to be effective. And no offense to what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying, or anybody else, but what's the biggest bang for the buck? Number 2 is that I figure unless we take a shot, we're not gonna make a basket. We're not gonna get anything in front of them. So what are the most important things? And those are the ones you've said. But the form, what we send in, how important is that to having it be effective?
Yeah. I guess I would defer to the other group if you're looking for an answer on what's going to be effective. somewhat defer to the elected officials that will be communicating essentially to us other elected officials. And I don't disagree that school funding could very well be on the list here, as could 389, the effects of that. I don't know that from my limited knowledge of that 389 really has a solution that they're going to be talking about this year.
It's
Or
one
has the
of the top
momentum.
items for discussion.
But again, I'll be glad to defer to the council and this people.
Are there other examples? I mean, for whatever reason, I can't seem to get that PowerPoint to come up on my screen. I'm not sure if it's user error or what, but it'd be nice to get that in there.
Yeah.
But are there other cities that do this, and do we have examples of what they have completed in past years? Kind of take a look and see what everybody else has done and how effective it's been.
I don't have a good answer to that. I know I pulled up from the city I was at in Washington, and I knew it was fairly common for other cities to do sort of the same thing. Someone tended to get into the laundry list thing, and it kind of took one look at the document and go, oh yeah, nobody's gonna read that. But I don't have a good data.
You know, I like the idea that regardless of what other cities are doing, I like the idea that if no city is doing it, we're taking the leadership on this, and if other cities are doing it, we're joining in and having a voice.
I think we just need to assure that it's gonna be looked at, myself personally.
I would agree. That's the only thing I worry about is we're gonna produce a document that goes right across the desk and no one ever looks at it.
How do you know if it's being looked at? Because they address it?
Because we hear back.
Yeah,
We hear noise, we hear stuff.
We have some connections with at least our local representatives and senator, and I would think a cover letter on top that said, here's a list of requests that you could help us with this legislative session on behalf of the city and city council. Could at least get a scan or
I've worked with the Association of Idaho Cities before, getting legislation in front of the legislators. They're pretty good about their lobbying efforts, and if we can put something together as a group and help tie in with them, I think you'll actually get heard. Because then you have a voice that'll go legislator to legislator to legislator and speak for us.
I was at AIC's legislative summit here a month ago, and I heard a lot about the police post training. They had a good presentation on that.
Great.
And I presented on our road and bridge funding levy, and got a receptive audience to that, and they actually made some connections with legislators from the Lewiston area that are having the same issue. The legislators didn't know it, but Lewiston was able to connect them that this is us too. So I think there's some traction here.
I think I'm in favor of putting together the little workshop still and kind of moving forward with that.
Okay.
And I believe we have that scheduled for next Thursday.
I have a placeholder, but, yeah.
What time? Is it Thursday or Wednesday?
Next Wednesday. We had said the 8th, I believe. Wednesday at 5:30 is what everyone agreed last meeting.
That sounds right.
Wednesday the 8th.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Number 6, regarding Youth Council adult nominations, Ms. Hobbs, discuss and nominate per council's request for Youth Council adult members, 13 City Council member, 14 and 15 adult residing within the boundaries of Middleton School District as described in Ordinance 706 adopted on 12/18 of 2024. Ms.
Yes.
Hobbs.
So we have, last meeting, you wanted to come back and talk about nominations. So we have one nomination that's been written, that's been sent in for an adult that's not on the council. And so Councilor Murray and I have been talking a little bit about the process, and we're hoping that Doug can maybe provide some clarity too. So tonight, if the council is ready to vote on nominating was ready to nominate a council member, great, do that. And then maybe we can set a date that the council would be comfortable with. I was thinking the end of February to allow us to do some more social media outreach, have it on the information section for the next 3 city council meetings to say if you have a nomination for somebody for an adult, send them in. We can have a deadline, send them in by X date so that you guys can see them, because they have to send recommendations and the whole thing. And then we're also going to start promoting the youth council for the youth next week. So if you are prepared to nominate someone tonight, great. Then we can focus on the nomination of 2 adults that are not on council but within Middleton School District boundaries. We'll set a date for that toward the end of February, and then in conjunction, the youth will be throughout the entire time.
Perfect. I'm prepared to nominate Councilman Murray to be our council representative.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. All in favor of Councilman Murray, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Councilman Murray.
Or some other acronym.
Okay,
And then you'll work with Monica on this, getting this before us, the deals. You guys work on that timeline, just let us know.
And we're gonna get the schools to send out a blast, promoting it as well, so
Perfect.
get word out to them.
Outstanding.
public comment on non-public hearing items of city business. We have 2. Cindy Powell. Do you want to state your name and your address?
I can do that. My name is Cindy Powell. My address is P.O. Box 533 Middleton. What I wrote down was Dewey Street. And I'm just concerned about how I talked with Amy, your engineer, and showed pictures of, I don't know if any of you, I know Tim does, because he does every day, he drives up Dewey, and if you drive up just right by the mill ditch, you'll see where they put asphalt and concrete curb and then asphalt for a sidewalk, and it all relates to the Middleton Mill subdivision.
That's correct.
I'm just curious as to who oversaw that in terms of how it was done, where the power pole is. Did Idaho Power have anything to do with that? Because there's such a deep burrow, I don't know if you can get it up on Google or whatever, but there's such a deep, like drain, I don't even know if
It's a
it's like a
drainage.
drain. Well, there's sections of rock that have been dumped here and then down a ways and dumped here. I don't know if it's gonna get more rock or what, but I'm concerned about the power pole, I'm concerned about the sidewalk and how it encroaches on the mill ditch. Is that something, I mean, I talked to the ditch writer. He was supposed to talk to Brady, who's in charge of the subdivision itself, but I'm just concerned about how it was done. What the sustainability of it is, since it's on a slope and going downhill, and with the water that we get, and for the ditch company to also be able to clean the ditch with the guardrail that's, here's your ditch, here's the guardrail. And the asphalt that is there that looks like there's a path onto the ditch bank.
And this was done by the developer?
I'm assuming, but then there were city people there as well, and that could have just been for the water down where the fire hydrant is.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about, was the
Yeah.
replacement of the fire hydrant.
So I'm just bringing this to your attention because I'm just concerned how it was done
future problems.
Yeah, down the road kind of things that it would cause. So, I mean, asphalt's asphalt. It's gonna last so long and then it has to be redone. And why it was put on the ditch bank, I don't know. Now, maybe the ditch writer has already talked to, or Alan Funkhauser has talked with Brady, the developer, I don't know, but anyway, just wanted to bring that to your attention. I have pictures if you want to see them later. Can I talk about something else?
You can talk, yeah, absolutely. I know the 3 minutes.
How long would you like to give her?
You were allowed 3 minutes, so let's do another minute.
Oh, okay,
There's not a big list here.
okay. Oh, was that beat for me? Sorry. Okay. The impact fees. I was amazed you brought it up because that's what I had added on to for the fourth thing that Jason had put down. Whether that's appropriate or not, my comment about the legislative agenda, I would still send it anyway to our legislators and do what you said. So you got a double whammy of them hearing about what you're wanting to do about this with the city. I would think each one of our representatives, Moyle, and Mr. Skog, as well as Tammy, should get something like this. I would hope they wouldn't just go, oh, and push it away, since it does say Middleton where Tammy lives. Also, you might want to invite them to one of the city council meetings. We've done that as far as school board meetings. They haven't actually come to the school board. Oh, I'm dead. They have talked to the superintendent. Do you have a question?
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm just curious, different topic again.
Oh.
One of the big issues, I mean, you're on the school board, so a question on that. School choice initiatives are a big item. And so are you, the school board, planning or maybe considering doing something like this in your behalf? School choice and things like that, I'm sure, and other issues that you have. This
Well,
might be a good
one
opportunity.
of the leaders of school choice slash vouchers, which now they want to change. They don't want to call it vouchers anymore, is Tammy Nichols, of which her kids went to school here. So I myself had planned to talk to all three of them. I know Dr. Gee has talked to them. I'm sure as far as an actual, I don't know if he's done it himself, but we always go to what's called Day on the Hill, and it's February 17th and 18th, and I plan on going to that and making sure I get their ear. School vouchers basically will bankrupt the school budget and whatever the state does.
You're aware that that is in fact the purpose, right?
Well,
It's
yes,
not
I'm aware.
a side effect. That's the unstated purpose by
Well,
people
yeah.
with an agenda.
Well,
So just throw
yes,
that out
yes
there.
and no. I don't know all the details. But the reason I asked the question, I was just curious if this would be a good venue for you. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's what is done with the money after the vouchers then have been awarded.
Well, and
That's another
basically
big
they
deal.
will, yeah.
Curriculums and the program of getting the alternative schools authorized through their curriculum. That the way the verbiage is, that and this is all just hearsay. But anyway, I don't want to go that
Yeah,
far
we're
into
not,
that.
yeah, that's
But-
not on the,
Anyway, I thought I would ask,
They
if
just
that
took
might
a
be an
left turn.
opportunity for you. But
Yeah,
thanks.
definitely. Thanks. I've already written down here.
Thank you, Cindy.
thank you. Mike Graff,
Great.
I will,
The guy who likes to give us grief.
I just need a little clarification.
could you state your name
Oh, Mike
and
Grafe,
address?
1889 Ridgeway, Middleton, Idaho, 83644.
Thank you.
Number 6, regarding youth council adult nominations. What is the 13 letter, number 13, 14, and 15? I hope that's not number of adults that are gonna be on this thing. Okay.
Two adults, excluding the council member, so 3 adults, 1 council member, 2 just from the general community, and then 12 kids, boy and girl for each grade from 7 to 12.
Okay, well, when I started seeing those numbers, I scratched my head a little bit and said, wait a minute. I'm all in favor of this youth thing. In fact, I think that's be a wonderful thing. But,
Did I just hear another nomination?
no. I can rescind, or whatever that word is. I just wanted clarification on that, that's good. I work for the Department of Energy, well, the site in southeastern Idaho. And I know the best way to ruin something is start a committee. I'm serious.
We're being positive about this.
I understand that. I was always positive about the stuff too, but you take a dozen people or 8 or 10 people or whatever, now instead of 3 people started the thing, say, and they had 3 wonderful ideas. Well, let's do a committee. Now you got 13 people or 14 people, and every one of them has a good idea. And now you just dilute the thing to where you end up with nothing but nothing at the end of the deal.
Well, Mike, you and I can form a committee of 2 with a bottle of scotch between us, and we'll come up with
Wow.
plenty of good ideas.
Make that vodka that
Mike, do you know what a camel is?
A camel? Well, yeah, it's got 2 humps on its back.
A horse designed by a committee.
Oh, okay. You said a whole lot right there.
We're moving ahead with this and for positive reasons, and regardless about the outcome, it was a great idea. So it is 6:09. Oh, would the council like to speak? The mayor has nothing to say.
Council?
Up.
I was waiting for anybody else. I was talking with Monica earlier, Monica. Hi, Lori, you're not Monica. And a couple of people I had sat down with over lunch today. And I'm considering floating the idea from a few years back, the property tax rebate for volunteer time in the community. Is there any interest in having discussion on that moving forward?
I'm confused. You're volunteering your time, but you're getting a tax break.
For volunteering in the community, you would qualify for a property tax rebate up to a certain cap. The point of which being to encourage participation in the community by citizens.
So I think it's an idea, but I can see where people would show up, sign up and leave, or not show up or say they showed up.
Well, we would have to find a system. So for example, if you're claiming that you volunteered at the food bank, then the person who oversees the food bank would have to sign off, yes, this individual did this number of hours for February, for March, or whatever. If you volunteer in church, then the pastor would go, yes, this person did this. And I mean, we're probably just gonna have to take people at their word, but.
So you.
Do we put a base dollar, like $5 an hour, or each person would get a different price tag?
I was thinking a tiered system, so the more, up to a certain cap, you could qualify for a higher and higher rebate depending on doing more hours per month. And we'd have to have a at-length discussion. I just want to know, is there interest in that moving forward?
I like the idea, but I'm concerned with the tracking piece.
Yeah.
So if I volunteered in January, but then volunteered again in June, like who's gonna track all of my hours once let's say, do I submit them to the city? Do I, submit in January and then submit in June? There's a tracking piece that makes me a little bit nervous, and I'm a little concerned about putting more on Wendy's plate and tracking a dollar amount.
But I might have something for that.
Okay.
Well, you can clock in and clock out with supervisors signing, but supervisors are human, and they might be swayed to upload the timesheet, like if you leave it 10 minutes till, but say they actually left on straight up. I mean, there's so many opportunities for wiggle room.
It would be a pilot. It wouldn't be something we have to, commit to doing for eternity.
Do I not get paid property taxes?
Are you volunteering?
No,
I do.
No, you're choosing to volunteer. You have a salary.
But I remembered Roberta had brought up, when I talked about this before, Roberta had brought up concern about taking up too much staff time.
Right.
Why don't we talk to schools about getting a few high school students who want to do internships down here, who can pick up tasks like that, where it's pretty much secretarial. You know, they get good experience, they get a letter of recommendation, and the city gets some extra help. I mean, potentially.
I think what we could do is we could do a 30, 60, 90 day at one location. Try it at perhaps the library first or the museum first. Try it somewhere first and see where the bugs are, see what we need to do, and see if it even worked. Just a trial basis, a limited basis.
What do you mean at the library?
Well, if they wanted to volunteer at the library, then we would just, wherever they volunteered, we just narrow it down from here to here. We start at one place, whether it be the library, whether it be City Hall, whether it be pulling weeds during park season, whatever it is, we start with just one item, one location, and track it for a certain amount of time and see how the program works. And if we see that it works in a positive direction, then we move forward. But if we see it became too complicated for all people involved, or it didn't work, or people didn't show up, it was hard to track, people were cheating on the tracking, whatever the case may be, we now know that it wouldn't work. Let's, like a trial period on a limited basis.
We don't have to commit tonight. I'm just asking,
No.
is there the will moving forward to have a comprehensive discussion? Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, I just was, whenever the time is right. Just, I'm trying to put my, it's first I've heard it, so I'm trying to put my mind around it. So the projects are the things that they'd be doing. Would it be time spent that gave time back somewhere else to, say, Public Works employee, or would it be just volunteerism to beautify the community? Or how would those projects be selected, number one?
Well, that's something we'd have to talk through.
Yeah.
But you know, like if you volunteer to
So-
coach a soccer team,
Mhm.
that counts.
Okay, so ROI could be, you know, just extra things for the community. Would there be a budget line item for this, a separate line item for that? Or
Well-
how would you envision?
Potentially, we could take from our, God, my brain tonight, our council discretionary funds and say, we're willing to take $30,000 from these discretionary funds, and for this first pilot year, this will be our cap. We will accept, you know, claims up to this dollar amount, and just see if anybody actually does it. But the purpose of this is to get people involved in their community, because everybody wants cool community events. Everybody wants that small town feel, but nobody wants to put in the work to make this stuff happen. So if we can offer some kind of incentive to get people off the couch and off their phone and out in the community, coaching teams, picking up trash, whatever the case may be, everybody benefits. And I just want to see if
Do
it'll
you
work.
see
I
one?
like the idea, and I think it deserves more discussion. The only thing I would do is put a cap on it, that if their property taxes are 5,000, let's say, they can't claim 6,000 in community and want some money. Just a cap on,
I would
no.
cap it lower than that, you can't even claim the whole thing, because that's our budget, that's a big
Yeah.
chunk of our
Right.
budget.
No, we would put a cap at a percentage of a total.
For the whole,
percentage.
under the whole umbrella?
Well, so if your property taxes are $100, then we could cap it at, say,
50?
$15, $20, I don't know. We have
Okay.
to, that's something to work out in the
Yeah,
future
I
discussion.
say we talk about that
I
further.
think it
It's
needs
worth
to be a
talking
discussion item.
Okay.
I like it.
How soon? You want to do it next one?
No,
Whenever there's time on the agenda.
no, let's do it, the last city council in February. We got some things coming up, and there'd be more time at that time.
Okay. Yeah, let's make it a discussion.
comprehensive
Gives time to think about it.
Plan, we have.
Sorry, one last thing. Another thing that I brought up years ago, and I still remember when I talked to Steve about it, and he didn't like it, but Citizen of the Month, both adult and youth.
I like it.
And I think the city had done this years ago.
They
But
used to be in the newspaper.
you accept nominations, you can put it in the newspaper, we can put it on the reader board, and for the kid, you bring the kid down, you give him a little certificate, you let him be mayor for the day, you do little activities, just something cool, get him involved.
I like it.
How did
There-
they get nominated? I can't remember how we, Because we did do something like that, because it was the little, I remember it was the old guy that used to sit down his scooter out and wave at everybody when we drove into town outside of the.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Loved that guy. But I can't remember how they got nominated.
Well, we can accept emails, somebody could walk in and just write out a recommendation or a nomination real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be real strict, but
No, I think that's a good idea too. I like it.
And sometimes these ideas are great in the beginning and they start to burn out. So my theory is if they're great in the beginning and we have so many great beginnings on something, so be it. If it burns out at a later, a year down the line, then who cares? The first year it was great.
I have to agree with you on that. Middleton's always been an STP town, and it'd be nice to broaden our scope of people that will come out and volunteer.
Well, I was going to have something in the Gazette this next month, and it was going to be, are you bored? Because people are always saying I'm bored, and then I was going to have a list of places they could volunteer, but I think this needs more thought, so I'll hold off on that. All right, it is 6:18, and we'll adjourn.